My God. Okay. Crazy. Crazy stuff.
If you have been dreaming about the slamming JBL sound, then pay extra attention here, as speakers like the S3900 and the 4700 now are on sale with serious discounts to clear out the stock. It's the perfect storm, and I ran into it. This, my curious music-loving friends of the Audiophilia Brethren, is the JBL S4700. It marks the end of an era and the start of a new, as this model, along with its little brother, the S3900, is being replaced by the new Summit series that are totally different beasts catering for the highest end market. The S4700 is a direct descendant of JBL's Project K2 lineage, bringing professional audio DNA into a high-output, high-efficiency floor stander designed practically for serious home use. In this video, I go through the engineering, the strengths and the compromises, and I put it in front of parts of the Silverback listening team. We also try to take it to the edge of its SPL capability, and boy, were we naive.
That's insane from one driver.
Expect dynamic power and effortless scale here. The kind of presence many conventional hi-fi speakers simply can't deliver.
Martin, what the hell are you doing?
I hear the voices, and if you know my preferences, you might think I've gone a bit loco. We'll get to that. But first,
The impossible can become possible if you're awesome!
Jernholm Reviews is a non-monetized channel. We work for nature preservation, collecting donations via Patreon. Join the ranks and get access to exclusive content and expert advice for less than the price of a cup of coffee a month.
Truth achievers, we build, we play, we give it back. We are the mighty Silverback.
Your sound, your music, your planet.
I've been chasing something different lately. I got infected with the Veslyt V15C, a so-called power monitor with huge punch and joy. It wasn't neutral, it wasn't refined, but it was heaps of fun. Somehow it turned out I was listening to more music because of it. That made me question why this kind of energy is so rare in high-end hi-fi, where the chase for neutrality and so-called realism often squeezes the joy out of music that is not ready to be scrutinized in high resolution. So the mission became kind of simple. Find a speaker that keeps that slam and engagement, but adds just enough precision to handle more demanding hi-fi. Like classical music opera, lively when it should be and disciplined when it must. The answer to that very thing came from an unexpected source, Sigberg Audio. Both their new Serana and the flagship Manta delivers just that, but with a politeness that, depending on your levels of introvertism, might require something a bit more unruly, maybe a bit more savage, a bit more extreme. See where we're getting at here?
Man, the power and the dynamics they're to die for, and you can just keep on pushing them until your ears fall off, and that just comes on with a big smile. You just can't sit still.
That JBL sound is unmistakable. It's dynamic, forward, articulate, and with real impact when it matters. The question was whether that character could live in a home-friendly, more balanced hi-fi design. Before we answer that, let's get the nerd on the engineering.
We work for charity, support nature preservation. So get on board for the price of
The JBL 4700 is a three-way bass reflex floor stander just over 3 feet tall and weighing about 110 pounds. It's finished in a real cherry veneer, was also available in black, and it walks that fine line between studio monitor attitude and living room friendliness. The cabinet is constructed using a 25mm MDF. It's solid, but it's not tank-like. This is not a Project K2 construction, no Sonoglass panels, no ultra-dense multi-layer architecture like the S9800. It's lighter, it's more cost-aware. I think it looks great though, and the size and shallow depth are perfect for many rooms. The straight edges there and the real wood finish can be a bit... It's not a speaker you want to clip on the doorway, and you really don't want your partner bumping a vacuum cleaner into them either. That's the trade-off. You're paying for performance, not for industrial armor plating here, and sonically, that choice makes sense. At its core, the S4700 is about high sensitivity, low compression, and controlled directivity. The bass comes from a 15-inch paper pulp cone woofer using JBL's patented differential drive system, dual voice coils, and a neodymium motor. It moves air like a PA driver, but stays tight as a nun's thighs. This is where much of the speed and slam comes from.
That big 15-inch Pro driver that just slams your chest, you just know this is something special that you don't get in a normal hi-fi speaker.
The mids and most of the highs actually is handled by this 1.75-inch compression driver with a coated titanium diaphragm.
The horn is crisp and dynamic and fast as we know it, but it doesn't come with the horn-colored sound you had maybe 40, 50 years ago. So they're definitely smooth and nice, but not so smooth as a normal hi-fi speaker, which can also be a bit boring, you know.
Mounted in a 90 by 60 degree B-radial horn covering roughly from 800 Hz to 12,000 Hz. Above that, a dedicated 0.75-inch titanium compression driver takes over through a narrower 60 by 30 degree horn, adding air and sparkle. Covering such a wide frequency range with one driver avoids many crossover issues in the most sensitive part of our hearing, especially phase and directivity weirdness. The result is that seducing JBL sound. It's big, bold, dynamic and articulate. And it makes absolutely no excuses, naturally with some compromise there, as all speakers have. We'll get to them. 94 dB sensitivity on paper and 300 watts RMS power handling means that the S4700 plays effortlessly loud. Not just in decibels, but in presence. It doesn't just fill that room, it fires into it like a cannon. It still rewards proper amplification, of course. I used the Linkdorf MXA 8400 Eigentakt amplifier that delivers ultra clean power, high damping factor and full control. Despite the size, it's really not a brutal amplifier load at all. If your amp can grip the woofer, you're fine. I even used a pair of channels in bridge mode on the MXA 8400, even though the JBLs are rated at 6 ohms. No problem, not even in the most extreme. Tube amps are very much on the table here if you don't want to explore the full SPL potential of the S4700. We even ran them happily on a 40-year-old 25-watt NAD 3020E, being loud enough for most sane people. It all depends on how loud you want to get. But what is the actual limit? Usually we try to push the speakers we test to the edge if possible to get an idea of the available headroom. But as you will discover, the S4700 limit, given enough power, kind of broke the scale. A speaker that finds Tim's limits?
That's insane from one driver on each side.
That was 115, and we were still not
That's
hitting the end stops.
Impressive power handling.
Wow.
And it was delivered cleanly as well.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
They will probably be all the power you need if you have 100 watts of amplification. And it's actually pushing what the microphone is capable of, right?
And me.
So
Wow.
we found Tim's limits
I
this
think
time.
it might have. I think it might have. It was still enjoyable. It was just slightly frightening. But
If I were drunk, I would just keep playing at that volume.
yes, exactly. Yeah, then bring it on. Completely different to your Techniques speakers.
Yeah.
These are much more like party PA type speakers, but that doesn't mean to talk them down in any way that they're not refined. They can just deliver for a relatively small cabinet and a single 15-inch driver. PA volume at concerts, that is.
At 117 dB, it still felt half asleep, being like,
Do you know how easy this is for me? Do you have any fucking idea how easy this is? This is a fucking joke.
We work for charity, support nature preservation. So get on board for the price.
in most rooms, the S4700 can be placed beneficially very close to the back wall, depending on where the strongest room mode is found.
They have this big 15-inch speaker in a relatively compact cabinet. They're relatively dropping off below 40 hertz. So pushing them up against the front wall and get a lot of room enforcement, it doesn't hurt them at all. Actually, it reinforces the first octave, and you don't need much EQ to tame the bass. For example, if you have a speaker that goes cleanly to 20 hertz, you will always have a lot of room gain in the first octave that you need to tame, otherwise it will be overpowering. But you didn't get that here because they're dropping off smoothly below around 40 hertz.
Yeah, naturally they're just dropping off.
And because they have the horn, they're not so sensitive to close boundaries and so on. I think they're quite room-friendly. It will be easy to get good sounds pretty quickly.
It can still benefit from a sub below about 50 hertz. But matching its capability, however, requires some serious subs. The simpler compromise is living without the last 15 to 20 hertz. No amount of EQ will create bass that simply can't be reproduced by the system. For big EDM or big organ music, you might miss it. In that case, the subs are the answer. And here's the important part. You don't necessarily need gigantic subs to get the extension you want. Placement-friendly options like the Buchard Sub 10 or the Linkdorf BW2 or the Sigberg Incognito deliver deep bass at sane listening levels. The trade-off is output. Use room boundaries and use the corners, add more subs later if needed. How much is simply a matter of how far SPL-wise you want the subs to be able to follow the 4700. In this listening room, I was perfectly happy without subs most of the time. Dialing it in with a couple of sub 10s or incognito subs with Room Perfect though, that's a story for another video.
Stand by, audiophile troopers. Prepare for part 2. And until then, support the cause with your kind, clickety-clickety, and the tap-tap, tap. Transmission to be continued for your sound, your music, your planet.
Now hold on a darn minute, Walter.
What to see next, Earl?
Part 2 will continue. Where, Walter? Where?
Look, right there.
Oh, well, I'll be dad blasted. You think that fine fiddler Patricia gonna be in that one too?
That would be swell.
'Cause if she is, I sure as hell ain't moving.